At this point of time, I would like to introduce our two moderators for today. We have Fernando París and we have Carlos Lopez. They both work for ioBuilders, which operate in the blockchain space. So they will be our moderator for today, providing an introduction about the topic. And then after that, we will have 10 presentations back-to-back. So now, Carlos, Fernando, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Annie. So firstly, I would like to thank you, the organizers of the Compete Caribbean event, to invite us to participate, and to the IDB Lab and LACchain also to give us the opportunity to share the knowledge and to listen to all these super interesting talks. I think the previous one was very insightful about the CBDCs, and I'm sure the ones that we will have today now for the digital money will also be. So what I'm gonna do is we have a small time before we start with the presentations to introduce a little bit the topic. I'm gonna share my screen. We prepared very small presentations about the digital money. Let me share the screen. So we will be basically talking a little bit, making an overview on digital money, on the landscape of the current trends, and highlighting the main benefits and the main challenges that we are facing today in the implementation of digital money and blockchain. Okay, so to start, Annie made an introduction to Fernando and me. Fernando will be also moderating. He's in the chat and he will be helping later also with the moderation. And about ioBuilders, we are a blockchain technology company in Spain, mainly focused on the financial industry and in the payments, digital payments as well. We have a working product, ioCash, which is an payment system for using fiat euros on blockchain under an electronic money license. And we also published recently in 2019 the ERC 2020, which is a standard for using basically tokenized money with money characteristics on blockchain. So feel free to look for those. Okay, so to give a very brief introduction, digital money, as we all know, is a currency that exists in digital form as a balance recorded electronically. Up until now, the digital money was, this digital balance was stored in a centralized way, but as we all know, currently there are new forms of storing this balance in decentralized ways using blockchain technology. Okay. And here is the money flower, which I'm sure everyone knows. So we are gonna be focusing today mainly in the digital representation of money, which includes virtual currency, bank deposits, the CBDCs in all their different forms. We are gonna leave cryptocurrency outside, and we're gonna see wholesale also cryptocurrency. Okay, so to give an overall view of the evolution of the digitalization of money, as we all know, the physical representation of money currently was in coins and banknotes. The first digital representation of money that existed was the commercial bank money, as well as the central bank money in the sense of not cash, but the wholesale central bank money. And on top of this, in the recent years, let's say with the digitalization, there started to be new forms of money. Among those, we had e-money, which is also an electronic representation of money, in which that is issued by private companies. Basically, it's not banks, but also financial entities, different than banks, and virtual money that is issued by private companies. This is basically like coupons, for example, in the sense of, for example, the Starbucks points or the the points for the airline industry. And until here, we had all centralized representations of money. And now what we are seeing, the next evolution is in the decentralized representation of the digital money. And we have basically in the form of stable coins, CBDCs, tokenized e-money, and tokenized bank money, which we are going to see next. Okay, and I think it's interesting to see the classification made by the International Monetary Fund of the different typologies of money currently existing. They classify them in 4 dimensions, which is the type, which is basically the object with which you interact, either a claim on something or an object directly, which will be, for example, the cash, or in the case of cryptocurrency, we'll have Bitcoin. In the sense of value, we differentiate fixed value redemptions, which basically is money that assure that you get the face value when you redempt it and the claim. And variable value redemptions, which are not very common, but we had last year a very famous example about this in, for example, Libra. Okay, and the next level will be the backstop. So who is providing, who's the final backing of the claim, which we have a government in the case of banking money, or private companies in the case of e-money. And finally, the technology that supports this digital money, which is basically centralized or decentralized in the different cases. And we are going to see the different forms of digital money here in this table is much more clear. We added also 2 new dimensions to this classification, basically adding if it's regulated and if it has compliance measures. So basically we have, in the forms of digital money, we have CBDCs, which is the money issued by the central banks. And in this case, you have on the one hand cash, which is obviously physical, and on the other hand, the new synthetic CBDCs that we were discussing today in the previous presentation, and which is basically an unit of account. And being a unit of account, it doesn't need to be, well, the bank is the central bank itself. And the technology that is using is basically decentralized when we are talking about the physical cash, and decentralized depending on the implementation if we are talking about the CBDCs. Obviously, they are regulated and they have compliance measures put for the transactionality of the money. So then we have the banking money and the e-money, which are basically also, they are claims. They are not the object themselves, but it's a claim on an object that you have stored somewhere else, or a claim in a debt that you have somewhere else. Okay, and both are fixed value redemption. So you, when you have $1 in bank money or $1 on e-money, when you go to the issuer, you get you should get $1. And the backing entity behind them is what where is the difference. In the case of bank money, the government assures that the holder of the money has the right to the claim. And in the case of electronic money, this is not the case. It's a private company that assures that. Okay. Since I don't have too much time for the presentation, and I'm sure you are all very familiar with this. So we have different kinds of money, the stable coins, investment coins. We have different attempts to tokenize banking money. We have tokenized electronic money. So the difference between the stable coins and the tokenized electronic money is that in the case of tokenized electronic money, is regulated and they have the compliance methods on chain to verify the identity of the different players, of the users, and verify that the transactions comply with the different laws. And finally, CBDCs, the most famous case is Synchrona, which is currently under production, but we have a lot of other initiatives, like we just saw, of different CBDCs taking place. I'm gonna skip that part. I'm gonna go directly to the benefits of digital money. So talking about digital money in general, we have the benefits of convenience for the users. The speed compared to usually bank transfers. The transaction costs are also much less than the bank transfers, especially if we talk about inter-entity or your cross-border transfers. We have easiness for doing cross-border transfers. And lastly, according to, again, to the IMF, the trust in the sense that many users, especially millennials, are putting more trust now in the in companies like Facebook or Google, etc., than in banks. And the benefits for using digital money on a blockchain layer is traceability and auditability. You have one common source of truth, no possible double entry. We have reduced compliance risk if you apply the compliance on chain, in the case that those are implemented correctly. Reduce security risks. Have very important the delivery versus payment cash lag in the case of transactions with digital assets. And finally, it allows to use smart contracts and financial automation. In opportunities, which I'm gonna go through very fast, in the financial system, obviously it's efficiency in speed and costs. We have improved interactions between entities and facilitating cross-border payments. We have reduced compliance risk, as I said, if you implement the solutions correctly. It facilitates the digital assets adoption. So for example, for the issuing of tokenized bonds or shares of companies, etc. Facilitates the intermediation of the landscape, basically taking out many unnecessary intermediaries in the whole payments process. And it allows for new financial models like the very famous decentralized finance and many more. For central banks and regulators, the CBDCs allow them to basically have much more control over monetary policy on the sense of supply and controlling interest rates, even going negative in some cases. A very stricter AML and CTF control. It facilitates the tax collecting, direct actions, and reduce dependency on hard currencies, and favorites the intermediation. I'm gonna be wrapping up because I think there was too much content on this introduction. So basically you had like much more benefits for users and a lot of technical challenges like the scalability, the TPS in the case of using blockchain, the privacy and confidentiality concerns, and the compatibility for making the systems not silos, but being able to work cross-chain, cross-protocol, cross-system, and cross-jurisdiction. Okay, and the rest for the regulatory and standardization challenges, I will leave it there because we don't have much more time. So I'm gonna close the presentation and okay. And I'm gonna, well, I wanted to welcome to the problem owners that we have today, which is the Caribbean Tourism Association, the Dominica Cooperative Societies League, and several central banks representatives that will be assisting today to these talks. And as we start with the talks. I would like to invite the first one, which is BITT, the BITT panelist to come, and you can start introducing the solutions that you have prepared.
Sure.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Stephen Phillips. I'll just share my screen and we can get going. Are you seeing my screen all right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Fantastic. All right. So as I mentioned, I'm the Vice President of Special Projects from BITT Inc. We are a fintech-based company in Barbados. We provide solutions for central banks to issue digital currency, as well as corporate entities that may want to also issue corporate coins. So jumping straight in, the problem owners within this domain are the Caribbean Tourism Organization and the Dominica Cooperative Societies League. And as we are all aware, Latin America and the Caribbean region suffers from cash-dependent economies. Large portions of transactions are done in cash. And this has some implications for economic development, growth, poverty, the list goes on. So there's also a notably high cost for financial services like remittances in the region. In some instances, as high as 12 to 17% of the transaction cost goes to the vendor that is facilitating the remittance. There's limited aggregated data sources for evidence-based policy and business intelligence. And these are very important issues to be addressed, especially when we are thinking about tackling intergenerational poverty and providing an environment to facilitate economic growth and development. So our solutions to these problems are basically a fully integrated vertical software stack. We provide solutions for all of the stakeholders across the monetary system, from the central banks all the way through to the merchants and consumers. We provide central banks with solutions to mint, issue, revocate central bank digital currencies and facilitate cross-border payments. At the commercial bank level, we provide solutions for commercial banks to distribute digital currencies. And at the merchant and consumer level, we provide a very robust suite of features and applications to allow and facilitate both financial inclusion as well as economic development. And I'll talk more on these features in a minute. So moving ahead, let's talk about the retail layer specifically. Our suite of solutions allows merchants, we'll start with the merchants, to download an app from the App Store and start receiving digital payments. This has tremendous implications for economic growth and development. It allows the small and medium enterprise businesses to evolve and to solve problems within their communities and get paid really easily. We have an online payments plugin, which is huge. We have the ability for individuals, merchants to request payments and get paid instantly and remotely. And the software is very mature to enable enterprise merchants as well as mom and pop shops. You can create additional employees. You can have a very robust solution. On the consumer side, we have a very mature application as well that has within it bill payment. You can pay all your bills, your electric bills. You can top up your mobile phone. You can pay all your utility bills, as I mentioned. Pay your friends peer-to-peer. And our model is to have these transactions at the peer-to-peer layer to be free. The merchants pay a transaction fee, but peer-to-peer is free. So we see this as a solution to really drive that financial inclusion. Users can sign up without a bank account. They do their identity verification directly on the mobile app You know, they take the selfie, they take an image of their government issued ID, that gets verified, and they are able to transact instantly. So this is huge for, you know, solving some of these problems. You can imagine if you can have remittances coming directly to your mobile application and not have to go stand in lines. You can pay your bills instantly from your mobile device and not have to go and stand in line. This has tremendous implications for productivity and economic development. So moving on, let's talk briefly about the ecosystem. Users can cash in, whether it's with their financial institution or directly at a teller with physical notes and coins. They can make payments at a point of sale. Merchants can, that accumulate digital currency, they can then make payments with their vendors. They can receive online payments. They can then distribute payroll in digital currency. And the ecosystem just goes on and on. You know, peer-to-peer transactions at the consumer, bill pay back to the merchants. And it's a very circular kind of economy. E-commerce, this is a huge one for the region. There are extremely high barriers for e-commerce payments that have limited economic development in the region for a very long time. And at BITT, our mission is really to enable payments and empower people. And we've developed a very simple to use e-commerce plugin, works very much like PayPal. You add a few lines of code to your cart, and then you will get a pay with a money button that comes up. When users click that, they have the choice to scan a QR code or log in to pay. If they click scan the QR code, they can just scan this code and send the payment to the merchant, and it's that simple. Both the user and the merchant will receive an email confirming the payment, and we have the various callback hooks for the merchant to update their inventory, etc. So this is a huge advancement for the region, a very accessible online payments plugin, and especially now in the region with the COVID-19 pandemic, this is especially critical for solving problems and keeping the economies of the region active. A bit about BITT, we launched our products, our mobile money products, our synthetic CBDC products in 2017 in December. We now have tens of thousands of consumer wallet holders, over 2,000 merchants in Barbados. We've gone through a sandbox environment overseen by the Central Bank of Barbados and the Financial Services Commission here as well. And last year, we've been awarded a contract with the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank to develop their CBDC technology. And it's one of the first in the world. We heard Sybil earlier on the call, and we're excited to be working on that project. So just very briefly, we have a number of territories in the pilot project. These are St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua. We also have Grenada, and I think the last one, St. Kitts, Nevis, and St. Lucia is the last one. So the main motivation is all about transformation. The governor is very clear in the ECCB that this technology is meant to transform the lives of the region and to really deliver on the vision of a single economy, a single marketplace. You can imagine small merchants in Dominica, they're limited currently to that geographic land mass for selling goods and services. But with a CBDC, as BITT has designed and developed and is deploying at the moment, it becomes one market. So your market size now moves from, say, 120,000 to the full 600,000-700,000 that make up the territories of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union. Moving on, this is a heavily copy protected screenshot, but I still wanted to share that so that we can touch briefly on the type of visibility this technology brings in terms of monetary policy, as well as governance. As we know, data is the lifeblood of any information system, and having that visibility that cash currently doesn't provide. When I make a payment in cash, no one knows that it happens, and it's difficult for the central bank to effect accurate monetary policy because they need to use proxy data points. Using
please wrap up. Time is about to finish.
Sure. Using the CBDC, you now have that deeper visibility. As far as the CTO, this then translates into visibility into how consumers are spending. So that has implications for better targeted campaigns. You know where things are happening. You have geographic data to then focus your targeted campaigns. Why choose BITT? You know, we have a strong team, we have market validation, and there's a huge opportunity to solve some of these problems within Latin America and the Caribbean using our technology. Thank you so much.
Okay, great. Thank you, Stephen. It was a great presentation, and I must say very user-friendly and accessible solution, I think, from at least from the look of it. Okay, our next panelist, just to remind everyone, we will take the Q&A at the end of all the panelists. So we will be taking the next panelist now, which is Blue K Capital.
Siobhan, is Blue Capital ready to pitch? Blue K Capital? Are they online?
Let's move to the second one then. Why don't we move to the second one?
Okay, so next one.
Sorry about that. Yes, I just realized. Unfortunately, it looks like they dropped, so I think we have to go to Consensys.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, next one will be Consensys.
Yes, thank you very much. Hi, Carlos. Hi, everyone.
Hi,
Stephen, could you please stop sharing your screen so that I can share mine? Thank you very much. So thank you very much. We are really happy to be here today. Obviously, I would have even preferred to be in the Caribbean for the pitch, but Paris is fine as well. So today we would like to talk to you about central bank and the future of money. But first, please let me introduce you to Consensys. So Consensys is the world's biggest blockchain company, founded in 2014 by Joseph Lubin, the co-founder of Ethereum. We are a software company building products for enterprises and governments to benefit from the blockchain technology. And we are an organization of 700 collaborators in 30 countries. As I said, we are building products focused on infrastructure, development tools, but also application, mostly in the financial ecosystem. And we've been engaged with a number of high-level profile enterprises and governments, such as European Union, French Ministry of Economy, but also central banks, the South African Reserve Bank and the Monetary Authority of Singapore, with whom we have developed wholesale CBDCs. And we are a partner of LATChain since 2018, with who we have worked on our products, but also expertise, and we are running a writer node on the LATChain network. So now, going to the CBDC, central banks have been considering CBDC even in the earliest years of 21st centuries, but then decided it was for the private sector to innovate here. They started new pilots on CBDC with the emergence of blockchain and Ethereum, started in 2017. And more recently, in particular with Libra announcements, 80% of central banks are now engaged in some sort of CBDC work. Obviously, the Caribbean region is clearly in advance, in particularly with the project we discussed today, which is quite impressive and looked, I think, in most countries as a great project. So we believe that CBDC as a digital cash will bring multiple benefits. First of all is to improve availability and usability of central bank money. We observe that in many countries, cash usage is decreasing and alternative private payment systems are being adopted, which unless central banks offer an alternative, will bring the risk of financial exclusion if the payment industry is only handled by private companies. Moreover, we think that because our economy is more and more digital, it is important to create a natively digital currency, which do not require the costly and time-consuming reconciliation that is currently needed, in particular for e-commerce and cross-border payments. And finally, we think that a CBDC will, beyond the simple fact of being a more resilient, competitive, and innovative payment system, will foster digital transformation by allowing entrepreneurs and companies to build value-added services that will leverage this CBDC. It's particularly true in the blockchain ecosystem, where we see a number of projects that can bring a lot of value, but are actually missing the cash leg. Some central banks, most central banks are looking at CBDC. Not all of them are fully convinced to use blockchain as a core technology, which we believe, obviously, as a blockchain company, they should do. First of all, blockchain will bring trust to the system by enabling central bank to be in control of the CBDC while protecting privacy and independence of its use. We think it's absolutely core to the adoption of the CBDC so that people just start using it. We believe that even if the distribution should be managed by intermediaries, at no time the end users should be locked in with those intermediaries, and those intermediaries, such as commercial bank, large retailer, payment service providers, should be considered as commodities for the end users. Another advantage, obviously, is the programmability, which brings a lot of benefits, particularly to facilitate the compliance of the CBDC, because rules are directly hard-coded in the protocol. Rules can be infinite, but for instance, it could include transaction thresholds, which is what was created for the Cent project dollar, I believe. And finally, I think using blockchain technology will allow central banks to leverage so much of the innovative products and services that are currently built with blockchain, such as non-custodial wallets, zero-knowledge proof cryptography, or even decentralized finance. And this is even more true if they would use technology such as Ethereum, which is by far the most adopted by large enterprises, but also by developers. And we are convinced that blockchain is a technology mature enough to meet the requirements of a CBDC, even in terms of scalability and privacy. So at Consensys, we committed to supporting central banks in their assessments. As I said before, we've already been involved in a number of CBDC projects in Singapore and in South Africa. Last January, we have published a white paper that was presented at Davos to share our vision of how central banks and why central banks should work on CBDC. Since then, we have continued our works by engaging in a number of discussions with key stakeholders, including central banks such as France, US Federal Reserve, Canada, and several others. And more importantly, we have mobilized our engineers to further clarify our recommended approach in building a CBDC network with Ethereum. And maybe one clarification, I think we are mostly focused on the base settlement layer and the network to support such a CBDC. So you've probably already seen this graph from the Bank of International Settlement. Our recommendation is to use a hybrid CBDC with a two-tier distribution model, leveraging intermediaries because there are already distribution channels that should be leveraged to distribute the CBDC. Otherwise, it will just not be adopted if we try to start from scratch. And if I go a bit more into the technical details, we believe that the right technology to enable high scalability are rollups. So our architecture would allow up to 10,000 transactions per second while facilitating pseudonymous transactions, and this infrastructure can be built today. The advantage of rollups is to use blockchain as a single source of truth for users' balances, but while executing the transaction off-chain, because transaction orchestration is not what blockchain does well, actually. It's great to keep a single source of truth. Yeah, so this is our commitment, and we really engage in working on this. And we would love to work with some of you people around on this role to further on a CBC.
Okay, thank you, Matthew. Very complete presentation and detailed on the main advantages of CBDCs and on the solution that you proposed. I see that you are lucky enough to be outside as well. I envy you.
Yeah, but 2 kids inside. That's the reason why I got outside.
Okay. So the next panelist will be DeepMinds for the pitch 4.
Okay. Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Ah, yes. Okay. Give me a moment to share my screen.
And if you can open your camera, turn on your camera, that would be great too.
Okay. Alrighty. Okay, can you see us? Hello.
Yes,
Can you see the screen?
it's coming through. Yeah, we can see you.
Perfect. So what I'm here to present today is our payment solution, right? So it is called XOC Payments. So that's Exponential Organization Foundation Payments, right? So I'll explain a bit more, but a bit about ourselves first. So we are DeepMinds. And what exactly is DeepMinds? So DeepMinds is a blockchain solutions company based in the Bahamas. We primarily focus on data mining, fintech development, software as a service solutions, and also enterprise resource planning solutions. So the problem we're interested in focusing on with our payment gateway was making cross-border payments, right? The existing rails are very expensive, so we could see the blockchain solution being a way to reduce the fees by increasing trust between the parties, right? There is also incredible friction from going from one cryptocurrency to another, and even more friction in going from cryptocurrencies to fiat, right? So this generally slows down adoption and prevents the entire industry from growing as a whole. So something else we've also realized is a massive friction point is the ability to spend cryptocurrencies in the real world, right? Most merchants don't have the appropriate infrastructure to easily accept, convert, or hold the desired fiat currency. So what we're interested in providing as a solution is a payment gateway that is modular, that makes it very easy for us to adapt our technology depending on what the market conditions are, and also based upon people's spending habits. So our framework is designed in a way to apply the newest technologies. And this is important because this allows us to be future-proof. So what I am illustrating here today is the modular nature of our technology, right? So think of Lego blocks, and each of these different blocks has a specific utility function. So depending on the specific program or initiative that needs to be solved, we can stack the appropriate utility functions and then wrap it in a layer to actually meet the requirements. So as you can see here, we have an exchange component, a CRM, a dashboard, fraud detection, wallets, API gateways, and a universal resolver. So this basic unit is very vital to meet the basic requirements of a payment gateway, right? So with the universal resolver, it allows us to be agnostic. So we're not really sure what type of blockchains that will be publicly available in 10 years, 100 years from now. So having something like a pointer management system to point to different blockchains simultaneously, if that is required, is something that we are capable of. And having an API gateway allows us to connect to multiple different devices, even possible devices that don't even exist yet. One of the things that our system is capable of doing is we use third-party KYC rule checks. So then currently with the third party we're connected to, we could verify 25 verifications per second. So we have a host of different cryptocurrencies wallets as well, and that will change depending on the liquidity in specific markets. So one of the things we're interested in adding is a fraud detection component. So that currently isn't in the stack yet, but I'll illustrate that a bit more. And a dashboard component for regulators so they can have a fundamental understanding of how money is being disseminated through the system, and a CRM management system for the specific individuals using it, so then you could track spending habits and stuff like that. And the exchange facilitates going from one cryptocurrency to another, and then the person has to pay the respective exchange rate at the time to allow them to do that. Our system, because we have the appropriate APIs, we could support different apps and different wallets. So it isn't going to be an issue of people actually being mobile in person and trying to exchange funds between each other. One of the key things we're interested in into our system as well is our automatic clearinghouse component. So as you can see, it's pushed out of the actual payment gateway. And this is just to elaborate on how flexible our system actually is. So the whole purpose of this is in the automatic clearinghouse component, we could see other opportunities besides just the payment gateway. So in its own component, and then now we could have access to that via the universal resolver, because the automatic clearinghouse will have its own private blockchain. And depending on specific triggers, that could be done automatically via smart contracts. And you need to be able to verify that visually. So you have a dashboard to actually audit that type of stuff as well. And that has its own fraud detection system that's irrespective of the payment gateways, just because people could use the automatic clearinghouse and other applications besides the payment gateway. So there are a host of different features and services that we think this solution could actually grow into. And I will illustrate some of the stuff we currently have. So currently we have our cryptocurrency exchange, which is 100% developed, right? So one of the reasons why we currently don't have that launch in the Bahamas is because of the regulatory framework. So the Bahamas is currently working on the DARE Act. And ideally, once that is done, we should be able to publicly operate an exchange. So another key piece of technology what we have is a Bitcoin OTC, right? So fundamentally, the difference between that and the exchange is the automatic matching engine isn't enabled into the OTC, because there's a little bit more scrutiny that what's required to execute those transactions because of the volumes involved. And with the OTC, that tends to run inside financial institutions and is made available to their clients who've already passed KYC checks and who are just interested in actually purchasing Bitcoins for themselves personally. They are sophisticated investors and understand the respective risks. Another thing we have is we have digital smart forms. So our smart forms, they are reactive. So as you type different things into them, they start modifying themselves and could possibly ask you more information based upon your risk score. So this is very powerful and allows people to be onboarded remotely. So this was initially developed for the bank, so people could actually be onboarded remotely from the bank. And then using our third-party KYC engine, as I said before, we can do 25 verifications a second, and it validates all of that stuff using OCR technology to make sure that all the different information matches up. We've also developed a brokerage platform as well for fixed income securities. So that is also made available currently in a bank as well. And currently we're working on our payment gateway. We are about 80% developed into it. So one of the key things we want to add, as I said, the automatic clearinghouse, which we think is vital for us actually to have cross-border payments. So this is just a quick screenshot of exactly what one of the forms look like. So everything is done as you saw in the other one. So if it's something that people are interested in actually viewing the technology and auditing it, that is not a concern at all. So as you can see, there are different inserts. And then based upon the inserts, if it's something where your risk score calculation is deemed high, maybe it's something like the deposit amount is unusually high, or if it's something like the region you're coming from is as a high risk region, it automatically determines that and asks you additional information like source of wealth and things like that. And it has a lot of really cool features from a usability standpoint. So then once you're actually in our system and we have a bunch of key fields on you, like your name, your address, all of this stuff, if you were to start using additional forms we offer, you are no longer required to punch in a duplicate information. So it allows those additional forms to be a lot shorter. So it's to take advantage of the fact that the technology is digital. So if you were to use physical paper, you would have to insert duplicate information like your name, address, and phone number and stuff like that. So this is a screenshot currently of our Bitcoin OTC, right? So as I said, this is made primarily to sophisticated investors who are interested in buying Bitcoins at specific prices. So this is just a screenshot of that right now. This is a screenshot of the fixed income security component, right? So this is allowing government bonds and corporate bonds to be issued, and then the brokerage clients can actually purchase them and put a buy-sell position, and then now that's executed on the brokerage side once they confirm everything is in order. What we also have as well is our inserts that can be put on merchant websites that allows them to use us to basically have like a PayPal type of functionality. So on our platform, once you have your different cryptocurrencies in there, ideally you have these inserts that on merchant websites. So instead of you having to actually go get fiat, you have your account with us that has your respective cryptocurrencies. You're trying to purchase something, you pay the exchange rate at the time, and you're able to purchase real world items with your cryptocurrencies. So that decreases the friction into people actually leveraging the cryptocurrency assets of what they have to purchase real world assets. So what you see,
Please wrap up. We have 30 seconds.
pardon me?
We have only 30 seconds left. Please wrap up.
Okay, sorry. So what I wanted to illustrate is some of our goals for 2020. So is to add the automatic clearinghouse, the fraud detection component, and adding the franchises. So how this stuff works is there is a payment, there is a digital form that what is signed, and then depending on the risk score, that gives you access to the payment gateway. And now once you have access to the payment gateway and the different merchants on that side, that's when the automatic clearinghouse comes in to consolidate transactions between them. So in conclusion, what makes us unique is our framework that allows us to build and modify our technology on a rapid scale. So that's it.
Okay, perfect. Very interesting, very complete package of solutions, focus on the cross-border payments and the payment gateway, and a lot of different components that are usable by different types of clients. And so next one is gonna be DOEX for pitch 5.
Siobhan, are they online? Mine will ask you to stop sharing your screen.
Understood.
Yeah.
And they should be ready to go. Where is it, Jason? No, they seem to have gone off as well. So I believe. So basically, we would have to move on to Liquidus.
Liquidus.
Hey, I'm here.
Okay.
Just share my screen.
Okay, I can go after. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I was on mute, but I can go after the next presenter. This is Oscar with DOEX.
Okay, okay. So I think we will take Liquidus then now, and
Perfect.
after that we will give you the turn. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see the screen.
Okay, fantastic. So I'm Liquidus. We're Liquidus. My name's Matt Hinckley, CEO, ex-cryptocurrency lead for PricewaterhouseCoopers. Liquidus is a RegTech and FinTech platform. So we really focused on the onboarding of digital identities before thinking about anything else, and then built in a FinTech aspect through strategic partnerships in the Caribbean region, which I will get onto today. We are Caribbean focused. We're born, bred, and raised in the Bahamas, working with a lot of different partners across the Caribbean and Bahamas. And the Liquidus difference in itself, one thing that kind of I really witnessed and realized and what we aim to achieve is we're not looking to build a technology platform and hope that people adapt to our technology. We're hoping to really work with local governments and corporations to bring our technology to them. So we've built a solution which wraps around existing infrastructure, allows for typical employees within banks or corporate service providers, as an example, to keep doing their job, but just do it in a more effective manner, which I just wanted to bring up. So in terms of the problem, Liquidus was actually formed initially from PricewaterhouseCoopers when we came up with an idea for the homeless called Silver Linings. It was taking data from smartphones of the homeless, turning this into a form of currency to spend on the streets for the youth homeless here. This we see as being very opportunistic for digital currencies, the way in which data can interact with digital currencies moving forward. But more in particular with the Caribbean, we wanted to increase the ease of doing business. If we can bring a lot more business and funds into the Caribbean, it brings a lot more wealth, brings a lot more money, and then have the ability to move this across different jurisdictions or islands within the Caribbean, it creates a lot more financial inclusion. So jumping into it just really quickly, a little bit about our solution, and then I'll get into more of the kind of fintech aspect. The very first thing you need to do from Liquidus is to create a compliant digital identity. So we use our own build of ocular character recognition to really withdraw information from passports, national insurance cards, driving licenses that we're all working with in the Bahamas right now. And this creates what I call a virtual avatar solution. So based on the amount of identity that you upload and the amount of transactions that you have within our blockchain infrastructure really determines your level of compliance, and therefore opens up public or private services within our separate blockchain protocol. So as you see here, an identity is created. It's created onto a federated governed chain, which is jurisdictional focused. And this opens up to public and private services, and then a corporate services portal. As Jason mentioned there, when the DARE bill comes out in the Bahamas, we'll be looking to work with digital assets too, around token custody, asset tokenization, and working with some of the licenses that we have too. Very holistically, this is our digital ecosystem that it's built right now. We've got a digital identity infrastructure, which, as I mentioned, is related to your compliance standard, sand dollar integration and automated clearinghouse, which I'll come on to a little bit later. But more importantly, our identity layer is jurisdictional focused and attested, meaning that we've got fully on-chain governance and that we can work with other jurisdictions when looking at cross-border payments, but everything is on-chain. Our secondary protocol, which is a fork of EOS to create our own governance, is a corporate services marketplace to open up to different government services or private services, which is one of our pilots that I'll talk about in a second. So one of the most important things with Liquidus, as I mentioned, is not just building technology and hoping people adapt. It's building technology around existing infrastructure, but making sure that we've got the right partners to give us the right licenses to create this financial inclusion in a regulated manner. So one of our partners that we work with has given us the ability to have a MasterCard sponsorship license. So this is a very important license for us, as it allows us to really create MasterCards for government institutions, create MasterCards for banks or any other corporate company that there is. This was recently seen in Nigeria with their national identity card, and it's got many features. So it can be virtual or plastic. It's linked into our digital ID. We can do full demonstrations live right now around how this works in our system. The second license that we have access to, and we're actually an agent of, is called a Payment Electronic Service Provider license. As Jason mentioned, once again, one of the biggest issues with digital currencies right now is the ability to go in between digital and fiat currencies. We solved this issue with this license. There's only 2 that have been administered by the Central Bank of the Bahamas, and very few worldwide. It's actually 2 European licenses made up into one. So the ability to issue electronic money, and then the ability to work with merchants on the retail scale to accept digital or fiat currencies and translate between them. Opportunity here, as mentioned by Consensys, 80% of central banks are looking at ways in which they can deal with digital currencies. I think that they'll look to regulated financial institutions when looking at the types of technology they can use to interact with these central bank digital currencies. Other Liquidus features about ourselves. So currently, as it stands, we have the ability to clear and settle across 16 different countries in the Caribbean, all through partnerships that we have. And we have a payment switch, automated clearinghouse already in place. And we directly settle with the central bank when it comes to the digital currency, the sand dollar. We've got a working prototype of all of this, which I'm happy to showcase to anyone interested as well. Just a couple of projects that we're working on right now. I aim to keep this presentation very holistic and very simple, just to explain who we are and what we're doing. We are working.
There's 2 minutes left.
Okay, I won't need that much long. I won't need that much time. We're working on a couple of different projects right now. One is a multi-jurisdictional digital identity for a bank. They've got multiple banks in different jurisdictions, and we're looking to create a private ecosystem, private chain, to onboard private wealth clients and prove out cross-border payments and investments into mutual funds and bonds. And then also working on a national digital identity linked to a prepaid MasterCard solution here in the Caribbean, which we're very excited to roll out as well. So kept the presentation very holistic, very basic, but excited to hear from everyone. We've now got the technology and licenses to scale at mass from businesses or individual standpoint. So if there's any questions, please let us know.
Okay, great. Thank you. I think a very interesting approach to the technology of going around the current regulations and current infrastructure and adapting to it instead of hoping that it happens the other way around. So we'll come back to you for the questions at the end of the session. And now I'm gonna give turn to DOEX. We skipped just before.
Yeah. Good afternoon. This is Oscar Basoberry with DOEX. Let me share my screen.
And Oscar, if you can also, sorry, show your video
if
also.
Turn on the camera, it will make it more interesting.
Oh, okay. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, and my camera. Okay. And the camera should be start.
The camera is in the lower left corner.
Sorry.
No problem. But if you want to, you can go ahead with the presentation, and later in the Q&A, we can see your face.
Okay. It was on the lower left corner?
Yeah, but maybe what you are presenting is a bit different in Zoom. Yeah.
All right, but you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Okay, sorry about that. All right. DOEX is a San Lucia-based company. It's part of a consortium of companies that all are technology involved. And we are following a development model called community value chain. DOEX is involved with 3 apps. One is an identity app called REM. The second one is a payments app called Walleton. And the third one is a community platform or community workplace called CWP. I'm going to start with the challenges that were essentially given to us. One, in general, the financial challenges, and is essentially we have summarized these financial challenges into 3 areas. I think the Caribbean has a challenge in terms of access, settlement and clearing, and currency. And both of the organizations that have proposed these challenges essentially can benefit from our solutions. Essentially, we are proposing for the Caribbean Tourism Organization to build an online Caribbean tourism community as a sustainable tourism enterprise through the use of our applications and also local partners. And we'll go in a minute through our applications. And The other challenger is the Dominica Cooperative Societies League. Here we have an ample experience. One of our partners is the World Council of Cooperatives, essentially over 200,000 cooperatives around the world. We're very close to the cooperatives. Today in our network, DOEX indirectly supports over 200 cooperatives in the Americas. So essentially for the cooperatives, we're also proposing an online Caribbean platform with each cooperative as a community in using, again, our solutions and partner solutions. Now I'm going to go through the basic capabilities that we have. In terms of REM, right now REM is going to be used very soon as it's an identity product, and we're working through one of the DOEX partners, World Data. We're working on a COVID-19 health status and mobility credentials. This is a solution that is in partnership with LackChain. DOEX is also the company, the technology company that will work very closely with major identity launches like the IberoPass, which is an academic passport for Latin America and the Caribbean and Spain. That is still in the design, and we're open to partner with anyone in that field. Walleton is already in operations in Peru, and soon, hopefully in Bolivia, Mexico, and we certainly hope in the Caribbean region. We're open to interface Walleton with any other mobile wallet that is existing. CWP is a community management platform. We have an operating a global dual language community. We are launching this coming Thursday, a US-Mexican immigrant community, and we're working with a multinational development firm to launch a development project employee and project performance community. So those are the key projects that we're involved directly or indirectly with DOEX. Now, I'm going to go very quickly through our identity app, REM. REM has essentially two parts. One, it has the creation of the REM ID, that it is a KYC compatible ID, and it takes profile data, takes facial biometric data, and has the capability of taking documents, a library of documents such as passports, to provide and deliver a decentralized ID called the REM ID. The second component of REM is essentially a credentials management, and it's verifiable credentials according to WC3 consortium.
Oscar, since I see you have 3 minutes left and we are in the payments panel, okay. I will suggest that you go to the payment solution so that we can see that in more detail.
Okay. On the payment solution, we have Walleton, and there are two dimensions to Walleton, an online and offline. An online acts as a peer-to-peer payment mechanism, very simple. It has all kinds of capabilities. It acts as a peer to a cloud agent mechanism. It acts, we also have a switch, so it allows a third party or biller or an aggregator to talk to a Walleton, so anybody can pay bills locally or internationally. Through Walleton, you can control your debit card or credit card instruments. And then the other personality of Walleton is offline. So you can do the peering transactions through Bluetooth, for instance. You can go and print a credential QR code or a transaction QR code and show that printed transaction to a third party for redeeming purposes. You can also have essentially a third party that has a printed QR code from the system. You can take it from a Bluetooth environment through Bluetooth and so forth. I'm not going to go through the video. It's essentially the community value chain has a whole back office, consisting of a core banking system, a switch, an issuing and acquiring switch, and the back office of the community management. Obviously, the back office manages roles and manages every single module that a bank has, but it's all cloud-based. Compliance, it's absolutely essential. It's all managed. And essentially, the platform is operating. Right now, we support, as I said, a couple hundred credit unions or cooperatives and a number of entities in the Americas.
You have 1 minute left, so you can
take
the chance to wrap up.
1 minute left. We essentially believe in collaboration and the development of communities. So we're very open to work with you, and thank you very much for your attention.
Okay, thanks a lot, Oscar. A very community-based approach with different solutions in identity, payments, and community management. As for the next panelist, we are going to invite MINVES MV to come. Yeah.
Hi, how are you? So I'm Daniel Goldman, and I'll be presenting on behalf of MINVES.
Oscar, if you can stop sharing your screen, I think that so that Daniel can actually start sharing his. Sorry about that.
And
go ahead.
That works, yes.
Okay, so you guys can see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, well, hello. Very honored to be able to speak to you. I want to talk to you about Carabits. This is a joint venture between Turnio, which I'm the CEO and founder of, based out of Atlanta in the United States, and also MINVES, based out of Suriname. So we feel like we bring in the best of both worlds. MINVES is a communications and marketing company. We're a blockchain enterprise technology company, and putting those two things together with a Caribbean focus and obviously in North American United States point of view, those two things combined, I think that really is going to put everything we've been doing the last 2 years to really help. It's sort of perfectly built for what this project is you're focusing on. What we do, we provide state-of-the-art blockchain solutions. That's everything from the data layer. It's important to understand, most people misunderstand, we think the future of blockchain. Blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies are the sort of the CBDC, they are interoperable. They need to be interoperable. It's about and, not or. And what we have right now, we white label our technology to some very large clients, but we've got, as you can tell, we have a visa program in the United States that's live today. It's very important to understand that it is live right now, and we are very excited about bringing that to the Caribbean. And I'll be talking about 4 key areas: cross-border remittance, the CBDC, a mobile wallet functionality, and online payments, all of which we do. So starting first of all with the cross-border remittance, there is a transformational shift in terms of what's going to happen with using blockchain technology for cross-border remittance capability. You look at the numbers are very, I mean, they're very obvious on there, just right there. 6% cost for Western Union. That is real GDP numbers that are being stolen from the islands. They're literally being taken away, taken in large numbers, and the aggregate, it's a lot of money. It's billions of dollars taken out of the hands of the local population into the hands of one large corporation. We can do it better, cheaper, faster, literally for $1. We connect digital money that is then sent cross borders on a blockchain rail, and we connect it to a debit card. And it doesn't even have to be connected to a debit card, but we can because it's interoperable with the fintech and banking system. And I'll talk a little bit more about it. The benefits of a central bank digital currency, I don't want to get into all the details. There's many different kinds. We can do any and all of them, whether it be a public type of system, whether it be a private permission system like what the Central Bank of China is doing. Frankly, there's many different kinds. It all depends upon what you're trying to solve for. But I can tell you that from a standpoint of financial inclusion, it's a really big deal. People will be able to control their money in a way they weren't ever able to before. It's digital cash. It's a very inclusive way of connecting the central bank to the resident. And it's a really big deal because you're cutting out intermediaries. Unnecessary intermediaries cost money. They also take time, whether it be an ACH or a wire. These are systems that allow for, literally payments in a matter of seconds as opposed to days or weeks. And that goes for not only cross-border remittance, but also in terms of just normal payments on the island. Getting into the conversation around mobile wallets, to set this up, it has to be so easy grandma can do it, right? So someone who doesn't have they're not tech background, they have to be able, a normal consumer, any average person has to be capable, a child has to be capable of being able to set this up. So it's a 5-minute setup. It integrates banking checking accounts. It integrates debit card functionality. It's financially inclusive because they can have a decentralized wallet where they control their own money, or it can have a custodied wallet, more like what a bank would do. We do all of that, and it's live presently. It's a mobile wallet, so whether you're making a payment at a merchant with your mobile wallet, with your phone, or whether you're sending money from me to a business, or me to a friend, or me to someone in Europe, or Europe to me, it is literally allowed connectivity that it cuts out unnecessary intermediaries. And that leads to online payment functionality, whether you're making payments through the internet, whether you're making payments, once again, through QR codes, completely agnostic to whatever blockchain. It is agnostic from the standpoint of you don't have to be dealing with fluctuating currencies. This can literally be a frictionless conversion into stable currencies. So when I'm interacting with the money, this digital money in a wallet, I can basically be, because the average person is used to engaging with money that does not fluctuate. And this is digital cash that does not fluctuate. The last thing is, not only is it faster and cheaper, but it's also safer. We all have seen what's going on, why we're all virtual, is because of the nature of what's happening with COVID. And the fact you don't have to deal with cash gives an extra added advantage because you're not dealing with anything. It's all digital. It's important to understand where we are as this joint venture. We're live in the United States. It connects to Apple Pay, Google Pay, and Samsung Pay. We can bring that functionality over to the island. We're going to be live with MasterCard very soon in the next month or so. We have Union Pay that we're going to be a program manager of in Q4, and we're finalizing that. And also we're working with Discover and WorldPay FIS right now to select one island in the Caribbean. So it's perfect timing because we will be able to bring our technology that we spent millions of dollars on with the Caribbean-focused mindset from MINVES, with the best-in-class around Discover, which has a network in the Caribbean, with WorldPay FIS as a best-in-class provider. It's important to understand also, in terms of compliance, a lot of people misunderstand what the nature of how this works. There's a lot of misunderstandings. As a company, we're registered with FINRA in the United States. We're registered in the United Kingdom with the UK FCA. We've been approved for card issuance both in the United States and also in Europe. This is really important from a tourism perspective. This is important from a standpoint of remittance capability because we're able to connect the people who are spending the money or sending the money to places where they're coming from, and they're going to come on vacation to some island in the Caribbean. We're going to have that capability built out for them instantly and connect that to whatever island we're going to be dealing with, Barbados or whatever. Flow of funds approved by Visa, MasterCard, payment processor, and bank partners, because everything we're dealing with is in terms of fiat. Most people think of blockchain and cryptocurrency, they don't understand, but the way we do it, it is interoperable. So we are not trying to change the system. We're making it, we're adding in an additional technology layer or payment rail. It is fully transparent data because it's all on blockchain. I don't need to explain what blockchain is, of course, but we do everything on chain. So because of that, it's much more transparent for governments. It gives confidence around AML policies, anything that might deal with concerns around terrorism and money laundering, all of those things, counterterrorism. Those are all covered around blockchain because they're verifiable. Even source of funds can be verified using existing providers that do that. Let me tell you a little bit about the team. We're a very diverse team. We're very proud of that. Once again, whether it be Tom in New York or Brian Amrish out of Suriname, Troy We have a very diverse team. Atlanta is a payments town. It's one of the largest payments towns in the world. We have more payments companies based out of Atlanta. So there's a lot of advantages to this sort of this joint venture we put together to focus specifically on solving for this problem. And I'll leave it at that. And I'm Daniel Goldman on behalf of Caribits.
Excellent. Exactly on time. I was about to text you. Very, very good wrap up, and also very interesting presentation.
Thank you.
I'm noting also some questions I have for the end of the session. So we'll get back to you guys later for sure.
Thank you.
Thanks for the great presentation. So our next panelist is gonna be PwC for the pitch number 8. I don't know if it's if it's online.
I'm not seeing the team members from PwC online, so I think we might.
Okay.
Well, Wanderscape unfortunately is also not going to be available for their presentation.
Okay.
I know that means we are quite a bit early. The presentation from Zed Labs, I'm not seeing Mark on either. So,
so
I guess
the 3 last panelists are not online currently, right?
that's correct. And I haven't seen the representative from Blue Key. He hasn't come back.
Okay.
Maybe they're having technical issues. So
we can go on to the Q&A part then, and
yes,
if they connect later, yeah.
That would be ideal.
Yeah, that's excellent. Okay, so for this part, we are gonna take questions both from the Facebook chat and from Zoom directly. For the questions, you can raise your hand, and we'll give you the voice to raise your question to the different panelists. And you can, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Carlos, I was just wondering if you can, I know that the Caribbean Tourism Organization is online, and Amanda, the representative, will have to leave at some point. So is it possible to ask her if she can go ahead with her questions first?
Yes, sure. So for first, yeah, we can go on with the questions from the problem owners.
Amanda, can you unmute yourself and ask your questions, please?
Okay, great. So thank you all. Really excellent presentations and a lot of innovations. Of course, for the tourism sector in the Caribbean, we recognize that a number of the players, the service providers, are micro, small and medium enterprises, and are mainly underbanked or unbanked. And we're thinking of persons who, you know, have that frontline engagement with visitors, whether artisans, vendors, you know, taxi drivers and tour guides. So I guess my first question is, what consideration is given to the local man, the average person? Is that factored in the development, certainly the rollout of any of the platforms that have been developed or are being proposed today? So, you know, how would you target or factor in whatever capacity needs or technology requirements for the average MSME in the Caribbean? And I can, you know, I'm not sure off the top of my head, just thinking how many presentations, but if I could hear from, you know, one or more or all, that would be great.
Yeah, I think in this case, the questions that the problem owners raise are in general questions. So actually, it will be good to hear a response from each of the panelists, if that's possible.
So maybe I just ask all three questions, so that way they sort of capture in everything. So this first question is sort of, how do you target or cater for the average person and technology requirements, etc., the average micro, small, and medium entrepreneur in the Caribbean? The second question is, I am aware of BITT. So just to recap, who are actually operating or have begun discussions to roll out in the Caribbean region specifically? And the third question is, what are some challenges or impediments that is perhaps preventing them from rolling out? Is there a best practice that can be shared from anywhere else that they may already be operating? So those are my questions.
Okay, thank you, Amanda. So those are the three questions. I think for taking the order, maybe we can go one by one, or otherwise you can raise your hand. So for the first one, the BITT representative, can you share your views to the questions?
Yeah, sure. So the first question is around how do we cater for the average person on the street, the average entrepreneur, the MSME market. And our products are specifically designed to reach that market. Our goal from the beginning has been to empower people. And as we know, as I mentioned in my presentation, there are huge gaps of individuals that transact only in cash. And for the CTO, that has implications on visibility and other implications around these individuals not being able to participate in the community tourism product. So our products do not require a bank account. They are freely available online. You can download them. You can install them on your mobile device. You can get verified, and you can start receiving payments instantly. Regarding the rollout in the Caribbean, we've executed MOUs within the ECCU. We have a contract with the ECCB. So we are very much Caribbean focused. This is our region. We are Caribbean people, and we want to solve problems here. So rest assured that the Caribbean is our backyard, and we're going to provide solutions for the Caribbean first. Challenges, impediments, best practices. On this point, I would say regulation in the region is behind, and that can be somewhat of an impediment. Specifically with the tourism market, we have to consider onboarding non-nationals to particular wallet products. What are the implications there? So this is something that needs to be outlined and resolved with the regulators, especially when you're onboarding American nationals and nationals from Europe with their data protection laws. There are specific requirements that must be adhered to. So those are some of the things that I would touch on, and feel free to engage with me privately. I can share much more detail.
Okay, great. I think that replies pretty good questions asked. And the next one from UK Capital. If it's still online, otherwise Consensys or yeah.
This is Consensys. The first one for to the average person. Our architecture is hello.
I am Sandeep from Blu-ray Capital.
Okay. Well, since Consensys started replying the question, we'll take your reply after that. Okay. Okay. You can go ahead, Mike.
For catering to the average person, our architecture is built for the 2 layers where we have the first settlement layer, and then the second one's going to be retail based, where participants or individuals or retail or merchants can either have a bank account where it is managed on behalf of users, or the user can actually do it self-owned through a mobile app or a desktop, for example. 2, with Caribbean rollouts, we're working with LACchain and the infrastructure as well. So we have experience with the infrastructure building out there for LACchain. And number 3, challenge and impediments is create a sandbox environment to do a POC or a pilot. We've got experience with doing projects of similar nature, for example, with the South African Reserve Bank. We're doing pilot projects. Creating the sandbox environment for that to work is another challenge.
Okay, great. So next one, I'm gonna give voice to Sandeep, and I think from now on, the better way to do it is you guys, if you can reply the questions, you raise your hand, and I will give you voice in order. Okay. So Sandeep, go ahead.
Yeah, hi guys, very good morning. I'm Sandeep from Blu-ray Capital. We are a blockchain company. We have done many projects in the area of blockchain, whether it's a public blockchain or the private blockchain scenarios. The domain and the area of project varies from like public health record system on the blockchain. I will tell some detail around it. About land record details in the blockchain. We have done some STO related stuff as well, and also as of now we are serving many clients across the globe in Africa, and US, and some other part of it as well. For one of the clients, we are developing their mobile wallet system, and what we see and what we find out that this kind of system is very much useful to to create the accessibility of bank to each and every person. You really don't need to open the banks everywhere in every part of the town or the country, or the country infrastructure has not have to create more banking setup to access the people to the banking system. So where this blockchain technology comes in a very handy situation. So what we proposing the solution is, there can be a digital currency from the central government side of that country, and that mobile wallet system will be accessible to all, and either that country bank branch can be created, or maybe some local partners who can be given access to open the system, and anybody and everybody can go and access the system from there. Local traders, merchant systems, and everybody can come and they can pay all the payment system from the wallets only. So the entire ecosystem of the payment, either it's a end users who wants to transfer some money from one user to other, merchants who wants to get paid their bills, somebody who somebody who wants to even want to transfer the money from one person to other. So all those ecosystem and the country's central bank also become the ecosystem of the payment, and all the payment, because it's a blockchain system, all the payment will be trackable, and because it's a digital currency, so you cannot create multiple copies of it, because it's not a cash. So you cannot create.
I think just to give everyone the opportunity to talk, and because I think we're going a little bit off topic, I'm gonna stop you there because we have a lot of other people who want to talk as well. Okay, so I'm gonna give the turn for now to Liquidus, and then to Oscar, and then DeepMinds. Okay, raise your hand, please, if you want to answer the questions. Go ahead, Liquidus.
Awesome, great, thank you, Carlos. So in response to question number 1, how do we really reach out to the taxi guy, the domestic citizen, This is something that I saw a lot of from Pricewaterhouse myself. The amount of different applications that we're trying to reach out to different individuals, from unbanked all the way through to investment personnel. This is why we've designed a dual application around our digital identity. It was the main thing that we focused on, and why the identity's got its own protocol layer too. So UID Personal caters for anyone from the unbanked to tourists, all the way through to international investors or business owners. The difference is the level of compliance. And then our UID business application caters anything from CEO all the way down to the janitor, different levels of hierarchy within the infrastructure of a digital business. So we really cater for everyone from domestic angle all the way through to business relationships. In terms of rolling this out, we've got numerous pilots on the go from banking institutions in multiple jurisdictions across the Caribbean. From a payments angle, our partner, I actually, just before I left the Bahamas, I'm stuck outside of the Bahamas right now, but just before I left the Bahamas, I was literally using the payment application to buy beer in a local pub. So that's how much we're rolling out, and this was being settled and cleared straight away as well. The challenges that we've kind of faced is a little bit different, because we take a regtech, fintech approach when we're selling our software solution. We're not really selling the blockchain aspect or cryptocurrency angle. We're working with banks to reduce their compliance and onboarding costs by up to 75 to 80%, but also increase the amount of revenue streams that they can bring into their organization. So we've got the demonstrations. We can prove the technology. It's a very easy sell for us. As I mentioned previously, we build our technology around legislation. So we don't wait for legislation to come in. We can actually work now. So our biggest challenge has really been the change management process. We've hired, following a successful close last week of our Series A, we've now taken on a very large change management team that's been dealing with financial institutions to really assist with the challenges we had on onboarding the technology.
Okay, great. Next one, I'm gonna give the turn to Oscar to reply.
Yes. Thank you. Can you enable the video if possible?
Let me see.
I've been trying. It says you cannot start your video because the host has stopped it.
Okay. Now.
Oh, okay. All right. Finally. No. Thank you very much. In terms of giving access to the ecosystem, to the SMEs and so forth, more than a technology solution is you have to come up with a model, and we endorse a community value chain model where I'm very, very familiar with the whole tourism infrastructure in the Caribbean, being on some boards that oversaw the Caribbean. But the first step will be to conceive and create a whole community where virtual community where the Caribbean tourism capabilities feature. That's number one, and we can go into details hopefully in the near future. Number two, in terms of collaboration on operations in the Caribbean, we have worked through other companies and affiliates in the whole Caribbean region. I think we will work through partnerships. And third, the challenges. The major challenge is essentially really being able to not only connect with the Caribbean stakeholders, but for the Caribbeans, for the tourism stakeholders to know that they're part of a global value chain, and they have to become part of that global value chain. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Oscar. So I think the last one who has the hand raised is DeepMinds. So you can go ahead.
Great. Regarding the three questions, number one, how do we target or cater to the sort of the local people, and what are the tech requirements? It's really important. Well, first of all, we're going to make sure every single person on the island knows about the application. We're going to make it really easy, because grandma, anybody, no matter what age, no matter how old or how young, they will be capable of creating their own account within a matter of 5 minutes, interact with in commerce, whether it be a merchant, whether it be someone across on the other side of the world. It'll be so easy for people. And it's important to understand it's live today. There's a lot of digital advertising in the United States and in Europe. And for us to target, 250,000 people in Barbados, I can tell you, everyone will know about it. And the reason they'll know about it is also through word of mouth, because when you're changing the dynamic of people who are going through basically financial exploitation, which is what they're experiencing right now, there has been a monopoly for so many years. We don't know anything different. Blockchain is going to fundamentally change the economics of this whole thing, and it's going to break down the old business model into a new business model. It's going to be very consumer-centric. In terms of who's operating or beginning discussions, I mean, we're already live. We've been in a conversation right now with Discover about picking the right island in the Caribbean with FIS and WorldPay, specifically focused on remittances. This is going to have such an important impact on tourism and tourism budgets, because you're going to be marketing not only the capabilities of send money home or send money to your friends, but also it's a reminder of, hey, this is a great place to go. So I actually think that it's going to serve a dual purpose. Now, in terms of challenges, our challenges aren't going to be the same as others, because we've already spent millions of dollars building the technology. We already have our team is based in the Caribbean out of Suriname. And of course, we have a North American team as well. So we have advantages we think on our side, because we already spent millions of dollars building the platform that already exists. I think the challenges are going to be for someone else who's going to have to figure out how to build a live product, which is very complicated, and to have the partnership with the banks, or to be able to work with a bank in Barbados, or be able to have the systems and the wallet infrastructure. So all of that is literally built, it's scalable, and all we have to do is just, place that into the island and make it go live, and then educate the populace. And I'll try to end it there.
Okay, great. That was Daniel from Caribbean. Last one is DeepMind.
Okay, so on how we imagine this stuff will work for the layman is with the Bahamas specifically, right? Just as the case example, with the creation of the sand dollar, right? What is required is a way to disseminate this currency throughout the economy. And there needs to be vehicle capturing devices that allow you to do that. So our current infrastructure allows us to identify in the moment what are the most value grabbing ones and develop those technologies as fast as possible. There's a direct correlation between the speed at which you disseminate money through an economy and the rate of growth. So because of that, we think that it's very important to have a type of structure that we can apply to different countries and then apply the appropriate technologies that are required at that time. So one of the things that are required that we see from our side is sending money from one wallet to another wallet is a very low hanging fruit. Money has a lot of other different opportunities, from like investing, like microloans that could be used to start up other businesses. So using our technology, having like an escrow layer component, we think that that could allow specific conditions to be done to allow money to be disseminated, right? Besides that, using our forms, since it reduces the cost into doing KYC, this allows people who didn't have access to certain financial instruments because of the required deposits to actually be drastically decreased. So if you wanted to have access to something like a investment fund, it may require traditionally $50,000 because of all the time it takes to actually process you. But now, because of this technology we have, we can get that cost down to zero. So now someone who's able to make an honest living could use our technology, and now they can invest their $100, $200 into a specific product that can actually see passive returns. So we think that this type of stuff will fundamentally change the economy and allow a country to prosper. And when it comes to applicability into other places, our infrastructure, because of how modular it is, we can quickly deploy it in another instance, right? So if we wanted to take a solution that we built for the Bahamas and deploy it, let's say, to Jamaica, we could do that in under a week. Right? So it just really depends on having the appropriate people there, and it's no restrictions on the technology side. One of the restrictions we do have in the Bahamas currently is regarding the regulations. So ideally, when it comes to this DARE Act that actually regulates this space, we imagine that because of our framework, we can quickly take advantage of that and deploy technology faster than most people. But with how we have our stuff structured as well, we're also interested in partnering up with other people. So hopefully it isn't just us growing exponentially, it's also a collective, and everyone can receive the benefits from this. Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. So we just finished the first battery of questions from the problem owners, and I'm being notified that we have cell labs right now online. So what I was thinking is we can give a turn to the presentation from cell labs, and then we can take the second turn of questions from the problem owners and from the chat. Okay, so I think Mark Pereira from Cell Labs, are you there to present to make your presentation?
Yep, I'm here. If the host could allow me to share my video.
Okay.
Cool. Everyone see me?
Yeah.
All right. Yes.
Okay, and there's, I'm getting notice that also PwC and Blue K are online. So we will, after your presentation, we will take the other two remaining presentations, and then we will go on the questions.
Cool. Sounds good. All right. So, hey guys, thanks for the opportunity to pitch really awesome initiative from Compete Caribbean. Hello to all on the call. I'm Mark Pereira from Z Labs. What Z Labs is a digital agency where we focus on building on fintech and mobile applications. It's co-founded by myself and Hao Fu. I'm from Trinidad and Hao's also from China. We were initially working out of Sydney. And after starting Z Labs in Sydney, we started focusing on Web3 and blockchain applications, and mostly within the mobile realm. And along the journey, since left Sydney, and I've headed to Europe, and I've worked with a lot of companies who are leading companies in the cryptocurrency blockchain space, and formed an awesome bit of tool sets to essentially implement somewhere. And my goal has always been to live in a first world country, experience technological innovations over there, and do the opposite of brain drain and just take what I've experienced in the first world and bring it back to the Caribbean. So in doing that, coming back to the Caribbean, I just moved back to Trinidad in December 2019. I noticed a few problems within the financial sphere. Had a few chats with companies like EY and other bigger corporations I can't name, and found out that the lack is really in the financial and technological innovations when we compare it to other regions around the world. When you look at neobanks, when you look at what's going on in the mobile sphere with WeChat in China and M-Pesa in Africa, you can see that the Caribbean is really lagging behind, and the consumers within the Caribbean have the technology to have access to these financial innovations, but the local financial services are what's kind of lacking behind, which is a massive problem. And I understand the complexity of it, of course, but it's about starting somewhere. So what we have built under Z Labs is the product Alice. It's a mobile wallet. And what it uses is the latest blockchain innovations, so that we can then take these leading innovations in web technologies and blockchain technologies and provide it to the users within our region with an awesome user experience. Our main focus is really providing a solution that is as easy to use and as familiar as regular applications users are used to today. So what this one is a one-stop shop for managing users' finances. But we've also added the ability for businesses to build financial applications within our wallet. So for the users, what does that look like? Within the wallet, you can manage your money, you can transfer money peer to peer. You can also do things like purchase food from street vendors because of how lightweight the technology is. And also people in the Caribbean, especially in the Leeward Islands, in Jamaica and Trinidad, they like to go to events, they like to go to fetes. So we've implemented a ticketing solution within it. And I'll also demo to you guys an e-commerce solution where you can integrate the wallet directly to our website. So that's the user side. For the companies, we've implemented a developer kit so that companies can build applications within the wallet. And the benefits of building an application within the wallet is the fact that we've abstracted away all the complexities of blockchain in a really easy to use SDK, so that when a company wants to implement an application, the build is a lot cheaper because you can hire web developers instead of mobile developers to build the app. You can iterate quickly, and because these are new solutions, you really want to be able to experiment with your users and start applying applications in places where you think users may need a solution, but you also don't want a massive time investment in there. The apps are also within the user's wallet. So that means the users, when they're scrolling through the application, they have access to their finances within a tap of a button instead of going out to something like PayPal or another wallet and then coming back in. And for companies, these services that they can build within the wallet could be anything from managing their utilities to booking a cab, your loans, or even ordering food. And these are an example of some applications that have been built in Alice already. One's a game that we built with Dapper Labs. Dapper Labs built CryptoKitties, the largest blockchain DApp application in the world. Another solution we built is an IoT mapping solution with Format in New York. And we've also built an application within Alice that's a tool for managing decentralized organizations. And these are all within the cryptocurrency sphere, but we are now aiming to bridge the gap into the fiat realm, into the digital money realm. So I'll now demo to you the application.
You have about 2 minutes left in the presentation.
I think I'll skip the demo. Actually, I will just show the demo because the app kind of speaks for itself. You see the app?
Yes.
So you can see the user's application here. I have my funds, my currencies, but then I also have things like what would be an event ticket that I used to check into an event last year or within the wallet. And then if I swipe to the left, I have my application. So this is a customizable app interface within Alice that you can view all of your applications, which would eventually be things like financial services. And if I wanted to make a purchase on a website, this is a simple website that showcases purchasing a sock. This is how easy it is to connect to the website within Alice and then start spending your crypto. So now I've connected to the wallet. I can choose my currency of choice and I purchase buy socks. So now I have communication between the website and the wallet, and I go ahead and make a blockchain transaction. And now I've just sent out a transaction to purchase these socks. Because it is on a blockchain, it'll probably take a while. So I'll go back to the presentation. So the features and benefits you do get.
You have the last 30 seconds to wrap up.
Yep. So the features and benefits you're really going to get with Alice is the seamless user experience I just showcased. We abstract away all the complexities so that you can iterate quickly on developing a solution. We have multiple network support, so you can send Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Binance. And because of the SDK we've built, you can easily add another network fairly quickly. So that means things like Latchain and Hyperledger can be easily integrated. We've been lauded in our network for having a really good interface, and we are a team focused on usability and practicality, as well as bringing the boundless experience of blockchain in an easy, effortless way. So it's really just about for the people in the audience to think about what you would build with Alice, thinking that we can build on any blockchain, be it the central bank issued digital currencies, and also what financial applications you would want to see within an application like that. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot, Mark. It was a great presentation. It was nice to see a live demo in this session. Very, very interesting. Okay, I'm gonna give turn now to the people of PwC. So the representative can start with their presentation. I remind everyone that we have it's 10 minutes presentation, so I will suggest to cut the preliminary introductions and try to go to the actual content. Okay. Annie, is the people from PwC there, or should we go to Blue K?
I think we might need to go to Blue Key because I'm not seeing them again. I don't know if they dropped out again.
Okay, I didn't have Blue. Yeah, okay. Second in the list. Yeah. Okay. So, so we can go with the Blue K presentation.
I don't know if he's not.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Tell me.
Can you turn on your camera?
Yeah, sure, sure. Let's do that once, 1 second. Are you able to see me?
Yes.
Yes, now, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I think I just spoke a few minutes before also. The solution what I am proposing is the digital wallet solution where
Sandeep, if you have a presentation that you can share, you can try sharing your screen. That way it will be much more visual for the rest of us as well.
Okay, yeah, there are much more slides, but I want to just simply, share a screen, and I will be having only one slide in there. Just a second. Can you see my screen?
No, currently no.
What happened?
Demi?
Yeah. Okay, it's if you see on the bottom of the screen, there's the share button, which is in green, and if you click there, you have the option to share your screen. It will let you choose which screen you want to share.
Find that screen. I'm getting only this stop video, mute, unpin videos, and rename and all that. I'm not getting any more options.
Okay, if you see in the Zoom window, and the options that you have on the bottom of the screen, where you see in the middle, it should be there should be a green button with share. And if you click on that, you will get the different options for sharing. So it should be probably the first one or the second one if you are using two screens.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Now it's working.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah. No
Sorry for the delay. So
we are sorry, sorry to cut you. We are seeing one of your screens, but we are only seeing the desktop. We are not seeing if you have a slide share. We are not seeing that.
You're not able to see my one slide like blockchain-based wallet?
No, right now we are only seeing your desktop.
Oh, come on.
when you choose from the bottom menu, when you click on share, you have different options. Maybe you can click directly on the window that you want to share.
Desktop. I shared on the desktop. Whiteboard. Now can you see?
Yes. Well, we are seeing a white screen right now, or a white slide.
Now it's okay. Like not coming.
No, still a white screen.
Oh, this is embarrassing.
I think there is no option for me to ask you to share the screen. So, okay. So I think maybe we should go directly if you want to make the presentation. We are seeing now your desktop.
Yeah,
my
because
desktop,
time is
but
running
not
Yeah.
my. You're not able to see my PPT, right?
No, but I think we can. If you can go ahead, I think you were gonna present your solution without actually the PowerPoint. So maybe we can
I'm
go
really
straight
sorry for
ahead
that.
to that.
Let me start because I'm just wasting you guys' time. Let me start quickly. Okay. Okay. So my solution is about digital currency system where there will be a blockchain based e-wallet will be provided. So when I'm talking about the blockchain, I'm very much specifically talking about the private blockchain. I'm not talking about any public blockchain scenario where all the transactions will be on each and everybody's node system. We are not talking about that. I'm talking about a kind of centralized system, like some central bank of any country will be having this particular solution, and what that system will do, it will be creating multiple systems out of it. Maybe suppose a central bank of that particular country can own the solution, and it can give the respective solution to their partners, maybe some banks or maybe other financial institutions. What will happen? The one central authority system will own this solution, and it will create their corresponding partners or maybe some banks. So whenever any new banks will be the part of that particular system, what it will do, it can enable maybe some other partner to join that ecosystem. So this our whole ecosystem will be blockchain based. So only the central bank and that new bank system can only communicate in one particular safe transactional system. So no bank 2 or bank 3 or some other partner will be able to come to know about any transaction detail that is happening between two banks. So that's how the blockchain is saving that transaction from one party to other, because it's not a public transaction. This is one thing. Now second part is that when there's any end party who wants to do any transaction by the system, they can simply download that mobile app to his or her phone, and then correspondingly they can select like which bank they want to associate with. They can either choose bank 1 or bank 2 or bank 3 or any other bank. Accordingly, their wallet will be enabled, and they will be start doing the transaction. So whenever they will be doing any transaction, like they want to transfer the money or they want to buy some product or process, so that product and process or transaction is happening from their wallet, and the money will be directly transacted to the receiving person's wallet, and all this transaction is being happening through the blockchain. So all the transaction is being stored inside the blockchain. So all the money transaction you can very well track at any point of time. So best benefit what we are getting, we are not dealing in cash, it's all digital. So the printing of currency system is kind of we are saving lots of money, because printing of currency has so many risks. First of all, it can get destroyed quickly. You can create duplicate copies of it. So being the currency in digital scenario is the safest model, or nowadays it's becoming a kind of, in many countries, people are using most of the time the currency in that digital system only. Second thing is that, suppose somebody wants to come, somebody is coming to the bank and the guy doesn't have the wallet. Somebody is coming to the bank and wants to transfer some payment from one person to other in same part of city 1 to city 2. In that case also, the transaction will happening from the wallet of that particular bank branch, and it will be residing on the escrow of the centralized system. And when somebody will claim the money will be debited from the escrow and will be delivered to the nearest bank branch. So if it is even happening cash to cash also in a very rare situation, in that case also the transaction will be happening via the wallet only, and you are anyway tracking all the transaction from one person to other. So whether it is happening cash to cash, whether it is happening wallet to wallet, whether it's happening wallet to cash or cash to wallet, you are tracking all the transaction, and also you are inviting all the merchants and all the vendors to be part of the ecosystem to support the system. And one more point that I want to add here is that, not only bank will be part of that ecosystem, a small little shopkeeper or maybe some little small person who wants to do some financial activity can come to the bank and become the partner of the bank. So that person will have all those system where the nearest people can come to his branch and do all such transaction. By this process, we are enabling more and more people to be part of that banking ecosystem, and bank is also ensuring very much that all the transaction is being tracked, and also it is being tracked by the blockchain where your transactions are immutable. You cannot when once the transaction has happened, you cannot retract it. So the sanctity of transaction is already being maintained, and you are kind of encouraging the people to transact in a sort of a cashless system where everything is kind of a digital. So where there I see it has a huge benefit system, and maybe in a normal situation, if a country wants to promote that particular thing, they can even say, okay, there will be a discount on certain payments, or maybe some vendor can come and they can have some other.
So 1 minute left. So if you want to wrap up in one last sentence.
Yeah, I will simply wrap up by this statement is that digital currency is the need of the hour, and if it is being added with this blockchain technology, it becomes a safe system, and it will be kind of a really useful for any country and the citizen of the country.
Okay, great. Thank you, Sandeep.
Sorry for the short delay.
It's no problem. I think that it's difficult also to present when you cannot share the presentation that you did. If you can stop sharing the screen, because right now you are sharing. Yeah, that's great. Okay. So that was the last of the presentations, and now we go back to the Q&A.